Guys, we got it. We got the official Superman trailer. We got to talk about this. So I caught it at about 9 a.m. Eastern time this morning. Uh, it's been on my mind. I wanted to talk about it, but I've been out all day. I wanted to talk about it on location, but I'm just getting in and I wanted to talk about this exciting trailer. So we get the opening shot. I want to do a shot by shot, but I don't know. My camera's on the fringe today. It acted like it didn't want to do that. So, uh, in the opening shot, we got Superman in an Arctic location that looks like the Fortress of Solitude, which it was. Um, and he's right away. I noticed it's a very colorful scene, right? Very colorful. This is what Superman is. A lot of the Man of Steel fans, defended Man of Steel. They said that they wanted that type of Superman, and my impression is that Superman isn't a dark character. He's not an Avenger. Uh, he's not Batman. So I think James Gunn is hitting the nail on the head right away, coming out the box with he's given us a lot of colors in that Superman suit. Earlier shots of the suit were concerning. It looked baggy. It just didn't look good on some of the posters. But looking at it in action, it looks awesome. The colors bulge out in the screen. This is a exciting, colorful movie. And the Superman world is kind of this wonderful, hopeful world. Um, it's especially even the campaign they launched with the successful Christopher Reeve series, the Donner films. Um, the marketing poster was "You'll believe a man can fly." This one's "Look Up," right? But the that colorful, bright suit that Christopher Reeves wore, this is very reminiscent of that. We also get in that opening shot, Superman's bleeding, right? He's bleeding, and we know Superman to be invulnerable to most anything on Earth. So that means that if he's bleeding, he's either fighting someone equal strength to him or is as powerful, or there is a disruption in the yellow sun that supplies his strength and power. In the earlier shots and posters that came out, we got to see a type of sun that was reddish. It was being obscured so that you could not get the yellow radiation what Superman cells need to survive. And so it could be either of those things at play or both of those things, right? Now, interesting enough, the Authority, right, which is this organization in the comic books, they produce someone called Ultraman who people think is fighting Superman. But now, in addition to that, Ultraman, it could be some type of clone of Superman. Some people think of Bizarro like Superman, but it's probably going to end up being something like where Lex Luthor's cloned Superman, right? That's something that's happened a great deal throughout the Superman mythos. Lex Luthor cloned the Superman. As far as enemies, there is a shot where we get who I believe to be Brainiac. This looks like Brainiac, right? So it looks like it's going to be Brainiac, the main. Well, I can't say that because we got Lex Luthor. It's about three people Superman's going to have to tangle with here. But there's also a lot of characters in this film as we got to see. We got to see the Green Lantern Corps, right? We got to see the character Nathan Fillion plays, who's a friend of James Gunn. He's playing a Green Lantern. I forget which one, but you also get to see Hawkgirl. Now, they're wearing the same uniforms, which makes me think that they're part of the same type organization, right? I don't know if it's the Lantern Corps because I don't know why Hawkgirl would be in there. Um, Also, the relationship with him and Lois Lane, as I understand it, this is already an advanced level relationship. Like she's not meeting him for the first time. This is not an origin story. This is a this is going to be a Superman film where he's established pretty much. But I just thought that was hilarious when he's walking down the street and the crowd's upset with him. I don't know why they always get upset with Superman, but people are so crazy. I can imagine something like that actually happened. Somebody hit Superman in the back of the head with a can. And so I just thought that was hilarious. We get Lex Luther. He's holding a revolver. I'm willing to bet there are kryptonite bullets in that revolver. Um, so that's all going to be awesome. Now the guy who's playing Lex Luthor, and I know all his movies. He played Beast in X-Men, and I don't know why I can't think of his name at this point in time, but I was concerned about him being Lex Luthor. James Gunn is actually a friend of Michael Rosenbaum, if you guys who are in the Smallville. And some people were like, it'd be crazy if he would have just let Michael Rosenbaum be Lex Luthor. I mean, goodness. Because here's the cool thing about if that would have happened. It would have excited the Smallville fans. And the people who don't watch Smallville, who are to Superman, they wouldn't even they would have just saw a great Lex Luthor, right? So that's kind of I think it's a missed opportunity. I think James Gunn should take more chances. He puts Nathan Fillion in every film he's been in, and I didn't put Michael Rosenbaum in many. But I kind of get it too. I understand that it would bring it into the Smallville universe. I get it. So I can't get on him too bad about that. But hey, man, I don't know, man. If you got a good actor that good like Michael Rosenbaum, just do it anyway. How can you go wrong? Uh, now they're fighting this big dragon looking thing. Now this is textbook James Gunn, right? He could do these crazy monsters, and you're still invested in the characters. It's the same thing like the Guardians of the Galaxy thing. He can do it, but raise your hand if you understand what I'm talking about when I say how James Gunn can do these fantastical movies and emotionally bring you in and get you invested in the characters the same way. Because, and I'll give you a key point. Remember Guardians of the Galaxy right before it came out? Everybody was wondering what it was going to be like to see a talking raccoon with a weapon in his hand, Rocket Raccoon. And we thought it would be utterly ridiculous, right, to do Rocket Raccoon. And what happened when he did Rocket Raccoon, right? He made us so invested in Rocket Raccoon that we didn't even see Rocket Raccoon as a talking raccoon anymore, right? And so James Gunn is the master of this. And I think one reason a Superman film has been so difficult to get right since Christopher Reeves in the 1970s, because the 1970s was kind of a different time. You had some real good talent back there that could write these kind of zany, superhero, comic booky, yet pull at your heartstring type films. And James Gunn inherited that. So he can do that with this film. And we're invested. Even the dog. By the way, the dog Crypto. He's whistling for Crypto in the beginning to take him home. Home likely being the Fortress of Solitude. Crypto's already out there in the Arctic wearing his red super cape. That dog is modeled after James Gunn, actual dog. But I think the reason that James Gunn can pull it off so good like that is because he knows how to get you invested in characters. Even that dog. Like I thought, and a little bit, I was kind of thinking myself, I was saying, having Crypto in this movie is going to be a bad idea. But the opening, he puts all that to rest right away. The opening scene with Crypto, the only thing you're going is, man, look at this adorable dog saving his master. How could you not like that? And that is just textbook James Gunn. He's good at doing this. And Superman's the kind of film he can do this with. Right? Especially if he's going kind of the way of the Justice League Unlimited, where he's just going to have countless characters on the Watchtower, like the animated series did. James Gunn can do it, right? He can pull it off. He can just bring it into its own thing, right? Where we can reach another limit with comic book movies. Because I think what happened with comic book movies, when people first started doing comic book films, it was just kind of like a direct translation from the comic book to film to live action, right? So you get this kind of weird comic booky film. And then people start to go, no, let's give it an air of realism. And then we start to go far to the left with making every character transferable into real life people, right? And that worked for some characters. It did, but there are some characters it didn't work for. Some characters need to be somewhere in the middle. And I think Superman is, from what James Gunn's showing me in this trailer, I think Superman is going to be that. Now I'm convinced James Gunn could do a series of good films based on an extensive DC universe. It's going to be interesting. It's going to be a little zany, but it's going to hold our attention, and it's going to be very interesting. And the reason they're going to succeed is because it's going to pull a lot of audience, right? I think one issue DC had was that DC kind of went into a realm, I think, where it started to feel more for mature audiences. It just wasn't getting to, for these films to really be successful, they need to join that. They need to gain that 13-year-old to 25-year-old demographic. And DC just started to feel dark. A lot of DC movies, the Batman movies, they can start to feel dark. The Snyderverse version, it felt very dark. Almost like they want to be rated R films, right? Like they want to push to be that. And that's the problem, because when you start to get into higher ratings like that, it's hard to get movie from studios. It's hard to get marketing from. It's hard to get good writers and so on, right? And so you're alienating a lot of the audience, right? Although myself, as a person who wants to see more realistic comic book films, I do think there can be a moderate area, where James Gunn could kind of reach, because as I watched those Guardians of the Galaxy films, even though they had all this crazy stuff going on in them, I was emotionally invested in the characters, right? I was emotionally invested in mostly all those characters. And so James Gunn could do the same thing in this DC universe, right, with these characters. We got to talk about, of course, Mr. Terrific. This is our first time seeing him in live action. The character who they've chosen to play him is a good character. Of course, if you don't know what Mr. Terrific is, he's this guy who has all this cool technology. He's like a genius, and he uses these orbs, right? They can manipulate matter and do various things. And I'm not a real well-versed on Mr. Terrific, but after I heard he would be in this film, I recall seeing him in other DC Universe depictions and looking a little bit into his comics, and where I was able to learn a little bit more about him, to which I liked them. And apparently him and Superman are going to have some relationship. I got scared in the beginning. I thought he was fighting Mr. Terrific, but he's actually fighting, looks like Ultraman, or fighting that clone Superman, right? Is there anything I missed? I don't think so. Again, this Superman is going to be a whole lot different from the Henry Cavill Superman. The Henry Cavill Superman, again, is my idea of trying to make Superman as realistic as possible, which I sort of like, which I do like. I'm a more mature comic book guy, but, I understand why this film shouldn't be that, right? Especially at this time, because we've come in our last decade, right? It has been horrible. We've went from pandemic. We've went from high inflation. We've went from scares. Now we got these drone scares. There is nothing hopeful in the world, and the last thing we need to see is another dark film with another dark superhero that's brooding and, has had everything taken from him. We need to see some hope and inspiration again, like they did in the 1970s with the Superman Christopher Reeves, You'll Believe a Man Can Fly Again, right? I think that's all I want to say in this review, right? Guys, I hope you're excited as I am. I know if you're a Superman fan, you probably was blown away from this trailer. I doubt I'm going to hear any bad negative press, and I haven't heard any so far. Despite the concerns about this film, I still haven't heard anything really bad so far. So excited to see all this coming together. 2025 Superman is looking good, guys. Guys, don't forget to like and subscribe after you watch these videos. My Superman trailer I did yesterday. Looks like more people were in tune to watching that. As my numbers have been going down. And so we're trying to find some content you like to watch. But if you do like content like that, you watched it, make sure you hit that subscribe button, because if you hit that subscribe button, it's going to let you know when I post my future videos about that. And of course, subscribe is going to come up on your feeds. You can look at some of the other Superman videos I've done. So very important, guys. Don't forget to subscribe. It doesn't seem like a big deal, but it is. Getting your subscriber counts out there, because they're going to target you and send you our new videos as they come out. And, we will want to update you on interesting videos just like this. So that's all I want to say. Until next time, as always, take care of yourselves and each other.